Pulling on that thread, never reach the end. Down another rabbit hole, here we go again, yeah. Pulling on that thread, never reach the end. Down another rabbit hole, here we go again.
What's up, everybody? You're tuned in to A Single Thread, Episode 1. I'm your host, the MyBrainCell, here with Mr. Matty Moses, the co-host. We're going to take you down a little rabbit hole. We're going to talk about some current events, and then we're going to talk about Mudflood, Tartaria, and ancient miner theory. So let's get into it, man. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, this is a great idea, Brain. Thanks for having me with this. I like the idea, the concept, a single thread. You know, people are going to be pumped when they hear some of the new Erasing Ego stuff we have. It's going in a different direction. You know, I think we're amplifying some of the better material that we've had in the past, and this is just only going to be better. But I'm saying that because one of the songs is a single thread, and I think we can all kind of relate. If you clicked on this video and you're watching it, something got you here. You know, it might be some people get down the conspiracy or down rabbit holes, health and nutrition. They start reading labels and pay attention how much sugar and additives and stuff like that, salt and how much is added to it. You know, there's so many different rabbit holes to go down, but I think that's what's great about it is once you become a critical thinker and start asking questions, you can honestly go anywhere with it in life too. You know, you don't have to go to the deepest, darkest parts of society, which is a bummer, and which is where I think we all end up at some point.
Right. Yeah. Dude, the new Erasing Egos is crazy, man. I was just listening to it earlier. Oh, man. It's sounding prime, crispy, bro. Like,
I love it.
Effects we're putting on it and like everything, man. The whole vibe it's on point, dude. I can't wait to release that. So be on the lookout May 1st. I think we're going to be dropping it May 1st. So be on the look, everybody.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the future. It's good to be excited.
Absolutely, man. So I wanted to start it off talking about the Derek Chauvin trial. I know you said that you haven't seen much on it.
No, I just saw that it was starting. And honestly, I thought they would have rolled it out a little bit sooner while, you know, to kind of stoke the fire a little bit. But now this seems even better because I think, you know, the orange man bad. I think he's not in office to do it himself. So like this will be their way to stir the pot on their own, right? Like if he gets acquitted or whatever it may be for how much, you know, drugs were in George Floyd's system with all that, which all that stuff is released. That part isn't even a conspiracy or a theory, in my opinion. You know, that's just what they're showing us. Right. A lot of times they do that too, right? They'll show you one thing, but then the headline is something else, or the way they want us to react. That's how I feel. So, you know, I hope it doesn't turn into something else, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on it too, as we go on with this?
I was watching like some of the testimonies. I think part of it is all a show. Like, yeah. There was this one lieutenant, he had like dreads, and he was like giving the most long, drawn out and detailed answers, given information that they weren't even asking for. Sure. I think he was just doing that to like prolong his spotlight and maybe like get a movie deal or something.
Okay.
Like everyone and all these girls in the comments were like, "Oh my God, he's so dreamy. He's like out of the screen."
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm thinking that it's just to like stoke the flames, like you're saying, to stoke the division, just like they're starting with like all this Asian hate crime.
Yeah.
Like,
oh man. See,
the COVID thing's on the decline, so they're like, all right, we got to start the racial shit now.
Yeah, that's their go-to. I think that's like they think of it as a layup, but it's so funny because I've been a little bit more active on TikTok and just different social media in general, and a lot of the people will step up and against this with a voice. It'll be Asian Americans that are stepping up and saying this isn't who is committing these crimes, or this isn't the real issue, or it's always been like this. Why are you painting us as a victim now? You know, a lot of them just see right through it, and it's too late. They've already built themselves into being somebody that they never did the handout, so then they don't even have anything to gain from the sympathy at this point, in my opinion. So they're over it. You know, they're like, it's too little too late. Like, I already own my own stuff. Like, I've moved on. Thanks, but no thanks. A lot of them are basically more offended that they're trying to paint it in this light, you know, and it's not denying that the racism is out there, or the hate is out there, right? I mean, people are going to hate, I feel like, no matter what. If we were all all purple, they would find something to hate and be like, oh, why do you wear a winter hat, dude? You're inside. You know what I mean? Like that, or like me, you know, or there's always something, right? Oh, how come? Oh, you need, I don't know. That's what I take from what I see more and more, is that the people will find something to hate. You can sit down and have conversations with people and break them out of that. And that's a huge thing, is once they maybe are shown compassion, then they're more willing to show it themselves. I don't know. I could keep going.
That's the thing, man. That's all we got to do is just sit down and have conversation, man. And we'll all see that there isn't really much of a barrier there.
Mm-hmm. No,
all these people that are listening to the news all the time just get brainwashed by the propaganda, you know, we see over and over again.
Well, absolutely. And they're easy strings to pull. I feel like emotional, you know, it is easy to get charged and angry, you know, and anger. It's so funny. I follow Everlast on Instagram. Just, you know, I got a spot for him in my heart. And
I follow him too, bro.
Yeah, he's good shit. And I feel like he's tried to stay true to himself, whether it's, you know, Martyr Inc. and so on, and paved his own way. But it's so funny where you'll have all these comments be like, oh, that's so cool. I love those shoes. That's awesome. But one person will leave an angry or a hateful comment, and that's what he chooses to respond to, which is fine. But that's like, you know, the emotion that gets people. It's like that. You're falling
into the trap. They want you to reply. That's their whole point for leaving those comments, man.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's what fills their bucket, you know. So exactly. What our kids hear about, you know, filling your bucket and stuff. And yeah,
that's want to get a rise out of you, get some attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, I see it all the time, like that video that we just released with the flat Earth memes for
sure,
coincidence theory. And like I tagged flat Earth in it, and like in the title, hashtag flat Earth.
Sure.
All haters, bro. Like these people just go around the hashtag.
Yeah.
And troll, like no life whatsoever. Like it almost makes me think that they're paid to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like that's all they do. They're more obsessed with flat Earth than flat earthers. They just go around trolling.
Yeah, it's so funny. We're like already over it, right? We're like, yeah, it's flat. Get over it. Like next, what's the next conspiracy? And that's kind of how we ended up with.
And the thing
what we want to talk about today, you know,
it makes it so that we can't even use that hashtag anymore because it's just all trolls.
Right. No, it really is. It does kind of mess with it.
I also wanted to ask you, just to change topics, have you seen the Godzilla versus Kong movie?
I haven't. I've seen the ads for it, but that's it. Did you watch it?
It's riddled with symbology, like occult symbology and shit.
Okay.
So like they're in like they go to this like underground bunker, like a deep underground military base.
Sure.
And of course, the bottom floor, the level that they're going to is, I'll give you one guess what floor number it is.
Oh man. So okay, is it 66 or is it 13?
33?
33. Oh, come on. I wanted to say 33. I'm like, oh my god, 33. They can't help themselves.
And there's a part, I don't want to give too much away about the movie.
Okay.
The part where they're keeping Kong in a domed facility. It's like a simulation, and he throws a spear and breaks the sky, like the firmament.
Oh man, because like he sees something, right? Does he see like a little girl or a little kid and kind of stuff? And I saw that, you know, in a promo or something, or maybe it was a quick TikTok but
like, how many times are they going to show us that? Like in Hunger Games, same thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally. Simpsons.
Yeah, The Simpsons.
Yeah,
it's just
over TV and over. Shows. I mean, TV shows straight up called The Dome. Like, yeah, dude, it's
Westworld.
Yep. That's a really good one. That's a really good analogy.
I mean, they do that on purpose so they can be like, oh man, I saw that in a movie. That can't be true.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cause like, well, maybe it is true because they're leaking little nuggets of truth in our face.
Yeah. No, I definitely lean more towards that too. I think that's their way of saying it first and almost controlling it, you know, controlling that narrative. Exactly. I think that was probably a big thing. Even, you know, like you brought up with Flat Earth, I think that was like even some of the infighting was the dome, no dome, infinite plane, things like that. Like, it's so funny. It's like, even within that, we can't come together and say, you know what, we just know it's not this. How do we move it forward? And I know like you and I are that way. We have that mindset, you know, and I think it's so great that we can collaborate like this on so many different things, but that's just what moves it forward. What can we agree upon? And then that's our solid foundation, and let's move forward instead of nitpicking each person's, you know, model and distances. And it's so interesting too. Like,
Yeah.
The only flat earthers I've met in real life were biblical flat earthers. So it was cool. It was like, okay, there's other flat earthers, but then it was still, you're still kind of bombarded with this other side of it. And that's fine.
You're still caught in that system of propaganda and brainwashing at that point.
I agree. And it's so funny because each different one that was a flat earther and was religious, they were each their own different religion or like their own religious views. So it's like even all of them weren't on the same page, so to speak. I mean, almost literally, you know, they were all on the same page. It's just
that shit blows my mind, dude. It's like people that don't believe anything the government says, but then they'll trust everything that NASA puts out.
That's what I don't get. Like NASA.gov, like that's the other part of it. Like at least question it, at least see the footage and be like, okay, this can't be real, or what is there filming this as it's happening, instead of being, you know, like it takes them so long to have excuses for stuff. Like how many years later with the Mars rover were they like, oh, it has a selfie stick on it. It's like, dude, people weren't even using selfie sticks, and now you have an answer for it, like years after it's been on
yet, and it's launched it years ago. Now it automatically has one.
Yeah, and it's so easy to backpedal after the fact. That's what I notice, you know. And then it's easy to. It's almost funny, like the Agent Smiths, you know, the people, the friends, they'll make excuses for them without looking anything up. They'll be like, well, no, it's probably this, it's probably that. Like I got into an argument about you know, COVID, and someone was saying, like, one of the threads on Twitter was that like 1 billion people died. How can you say this? And they're like, 1 billion? Like it's barely over 1 million. What are you talking about? And the person was like, oh, I meant 1 million. And it was like, it's not even at 1 million in the United States. Oh, I was so frustrated. It was like, you psychopath. You know what I mean? Like the people, like, it's just to exaggerate it to make them feel better. Yeah, we could keep going. I know.
Let me ask you this, man. Do you think people are waking up?
I think so. I think people are waking up a different way. So I think Trump woke up a different side of people, and, you know, got people to really care about politics. They're like, whoa, this wasn't supposed to happen. How did this happen? You know, and then people really cared. I think it woke them up in a different way than we would really hope. You know, it kind of it got them that go woke, go broke. It was in a politically correct way, I should say. You know, where it was more about like still on the surface, like certain people might be treated differently and so on. It's like that's not really woke as much as like, oh, I didn't realize that, you know.
Just like common sense is not even like being
yes, thank you. Exactly. Like that's common sense. Like now that's like barely being awake, you know. That's being like shaken, like, oh, what's going on? And then it's like you get the sleep out of your eyes, and now it's like, oh wow, there's all this other stuff going on. And like I think what was really tough is trying to do even some of the music matters and picking hashtags for like red pill rap or conscious hip hop. You know what I mean? I think like it's tough to put us in a category with the music we make, because conscious hip hop really does stick to one lane, the mistreatment of a particular race of people, or the way, you know, like, and we get to touch on it different ways, but it's like, wow, that doesn't really capture exactly what we're rapping about. We're like 9/11, directed energy weapons. We're on different, you know, questioning the shape of the earth.
We're on a whole nother level, man. You know?
Yeah. Like
we're far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, rabbit hole rap. That might be even better than red pill rap. Like, let's go. That might be better, because it's really nice, because my wife was kind of giving me some credit too, and she's had to stand up for me in the past, because she's not into conspiracies. She respects my take on them and the research I've done. So she's like, you know, I'm not saying like I believe all this stuff, but like I understand you believe what you know, the information you've come across and so on. So like that's really helped. But yeah, like conscious hip hop doesn't necessarily cover it. Like breaking down the school system, yeah, that's a start, but going deeper than that, and who runs it, and, you know, some of the, we want to start talking about, you know, Jesuits and Freemasonry. That now you're where we're at. Now let's dig a little bit deeper.
Go to prison pipeline.
Totally. Yeah. Let's have those conversations. And those were few and far between as far as conscious hip hop. And
the conscious hip hop, dude, with the shit this new tape that we're working on, conscious hip hop, it ain't gonna cover that. You know what I mean?
No, not even. And I think what's cool is like some of what I've seen of more of the modern alternative rap does touch on a little bit more esoteric occult, which I think is more our lane, our vein. It's like, hey, like this stuff goes back, and it, if you want to play the game, you're gonna have to look a little bit deeper.
I like that, man. I like that.
Rabbit hole rap. I'm gonna write that down before I forget.
Write that down, son. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see if we can get this.
You get that going. Let me see.
Can you see that?
Brain started screen sharing. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Okay.
Got a couple tabs open here about Tartaria. If you guys don't know, this is probably one of my favorite conspiracies right now that I think everyone should know about. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you know from Tartaria, and then we'll go from there.
How it started for me was, it was kind of like what was after Flat Earth. And this had to deal with hiding of history, erasing of it, technology. I feel like some of it ties in almost with like Nikola Tesla and the knowledge that we had. And it starts to break away the idea of evolution, and that we were these apes and then we just barely could rub sticks together and create fire, where this is like a different and like an alternate history of, this is something that, when you look at the structures around the world and how similar they are and how intricate they are, it's like, how, I like some of the lines that you have in our song F Religion, or fuck religion. We got different names for it right now, but you're saying, you're talking about these different cultures. Like the Mormons built the grandest of churches with horse-drawn wagons, no roads, just dirt ditches. Like,
yeah,
there's no way, and
we couldn't even build these buildings today. Yeah, I mean, we don't even know how they built the pyramids.
Yeah, I've always laughed at that in different ways. And when I was younger, it was so, slaves built the pyramid. I'm like, you're telling me, like, with all the technology in the world, you had this grunt force build these, and I don't know. And what's the other thing too, isn't it that no mummies have been found in the pyramids? Like, it's not, they'll try to pitch them as like, oh, they're these great tombs for these leaders. Like, that's not accurate. You can't even back that up,
man. There's never been a mummy found in a pyramid.
Okay, I thought that's what I understood as well. So it's like, no, oh man, just think of like
Taj Mahal. Talking about pyramids, I'm gonna try and find this picture here. Let's see if I can find it. Everyone go follow this dude Mike Ferrara on Facebook. He's the leader of the ancient miner theory.
Okay.
Much. It's not gonna come up. Let me see if I can Google it.
It's interesting. A single thread, the name for this, and just the idea of how we kind of got here, even with you just talking about current events and what we're shown. And, sometimes they show us things and it's there if you want to see it. Like if you just go directly to the CDC's website, you'll see their own numbers for the virus, we'll call it. And, you can see it for your own eyes, but depending on what you're willing to see, what you're shown. And then talking about Flat Earth to mud floods and Tartaria, I think it is interesting, and the hidden technology, hidden information.
All right, I found it. So this is massive amounts of sulfur being stored that was mined.
Okay.
Yeah, it's stacked like that. It almost looks like the Mayan pyramids.
Yeah. That's a great comparison.
Yeah. So like take the pyramids, like that could just be mining what's the word, like extra stuff that's just being stored, surplus.
Okay.
And after 100 years or something, that could harden into stone. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I like that theory.
So
I like that a lot.
The easiest way to store something like this is to build like a pyramid out of it, basically.
Okay.
You see like all these mines all over, like that's how they store their shit. So like picture a couple 100 years from now, people are gonna think this was a mountain. You know what I mean? Plants are gonna be growing on it.
Dude, that's a great point, especially if something happened to that civilization that they couldn't mine it anymore, and they had it set up. That's one thing too about the pyramids too, is they aren't smooth and straight edges as much as people would think, right?
Right. Yeah, they're and there's like different layers to them, seeing that like the work that people have done, saying that like the pyramids were a power plant and stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting to me.
That makes more sense to me. I don't know if that's the right way to word it, but I could definitely see that, where it's this
like a free energy.
Totally.
It's either that or this.
Yeah. Definitely.
You mentioned Tesla. I'm of the mind that Tesla wasn't even, he might have been a real guy, but there's no way he could have invented all the things that he has patents for. He'd have to invent like 30 things a day.
Right.
Do the math on it.
Yeah.
That it was like kind of like how like Plato or like Hermes or Thoth, some of these like archetypal figures, just combine like 100 different dudes into one person. You know what I mean?
Totally. And I think it's really interesting you say that, because I feel like people are becoming more open to that idea as far as William Shakespeare. Like it'll even be said like, oh, whether he did, write all of those works himself, or if it's, like an amalgamation or, this thing. It's like, wow, that people will say that, like they're more open to it, right? As more time goes by and we can look into it. And I think what's great about these pictures you're showing too, for people looking at it, is what is underneath those buildings is extensions of the building, right? So that's not like, oh, that's the basement. Like that's obviously like, we're talking about another 4 stories beneath what we can see.
Yeah, man. And I can even like go to local towns that are really old and see how they all have windows in their basements. Like at ground level, there's windows, and like all of them have stairs going up to the door.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, see, that's nuts.
And they all have like stairs going down to like basement doors and shit. So like that ties into the mudflood theory.
Okay. And that whole part of it, I don't necessarily know all that much, other than the idea that like these catastrophes are that basically wipe out the civilization, and we build upon it, build over it. Oh, those are some great pictures of it. It's awesome. My mom has this, it's not a painting, but it's a map, like an old world map. And it's the 2 halves of what they would call the globe. They've got the 2 halves, and it says Tartaria right on it.
Really?
I'll take a picture. I have a picture on my phone. Like I couldn't find a really good one, but yeah, I mean, and she also has a small mini little globe, and it says right on there Tartaria. I was like, no freaking way. I'm like, this is wow. It was too perfect to like start having this going, just bouncing around in my head, and then to see it more often now that I'm looking for it. No, you're pulling up some
once you see
pictures.
It's hard not to see it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You just in your travels, you see shit, and you're just like, wow. Like you see like old churches in your towns, and you're like, wow, that's a Tartarian building, and they have like see all these devices on top of them. Like those are like energy gathering devices, like Tesla. You can gather free energy from the atmosphere because it's like electrically charged. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that would be another thing to truly look into too, as something of saying like, oh, this is it's a lightning rod. It's like that. Yeah, that could be, it's a lightning rod, but that's, if they can channel that energy and draw it in, you got these big buildings
and these buildings are like wrapped in copper and shit too.
Okay.
Like coils of copper.
Yeah. See.
Wow. Look at that. That looks, it's blurry.
No, those are,
where was that one right here? Picks. Here's a good point right here. So this was the original door of the building, and this was a window.
Oh, wow.
And you see how like it all got mud flooded out. You can see where like the level was. So they had to turn the window into a door.
Okay.
You can see that on churches, buildings, like all around our realm, man.
It is one thing I even took note as a kid, being raised Roman Catholic. A lot of the Catholic churches too, very ornate and very detailed, and it's nuts to sit and think like, oh, someone made this, someone with their hand, you know what I mean, made this with their hands, or whittled this or sculpted that. It's nuts. It's almost unfathomable. And now it's a really interesting take on it, where it's like, what if we've been more advanced intellectually in the past, and that we were capable of making these things, or toying with the idea of giants, you know what I mean? So like, dude, if everyone looked like Shaq, you're building all these sculptures, like it almost makes more sense.
It's crazy how inverted everything is. Like what mainstream science tells you, you can pretty much almost every time look into the opposite of it, and that's more true. Like mainstream science says that the further back we go in time, like the smaller humans were.
Yeah.
In truth, there used to be giants.
Right. Yeah, oxygen rich environment. And because that's how they'll say about the dinosaurs. Well, the dinosaurs, the food that they ate, they didn't need as much, or there was an abundance of it because the atmosphere was different, but somehow people were still smaller, or it's like, man, yeah, there's so much.
There's been a bunch of like giant bones discovered. I don't know how real they are because the Smithsonian just swoops in and locks away all these good finds. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're the ultimate gatekeepers.
Yeah, that's a great word for it too. And that's what's frustrating. I think that's one of the lines I have too is we need to storm because that was the big storm Area 51. And then I had the lyrics, storm the Vatican. That's where all the hidden wisdom is at. And then tear the whole damn system down. But kind of playing off of that, it's like, that's where the knowledge is with Area 51. That's going to be, you're going to open that up and you're going to know all the stuff you see in there. You're like, oh, that's a ray gun. That's a laser gun. That's a UFO. Like you're not going to be surprised, where I feel like the Vatican, if you had this knowledge, be like, oh, wow, okay, I didn't know about this. Or it could even be, fairies, brownies, what like see this, what you're on now too. I basically hopped from flat earth, no forests on flat earth, which was like the stumps and all that stuff, right? Rolled kind of into this too, like Titans. And I mean, that stuff I just watch with my jaw. Oh, just like, wow, there's too many.
What's interesting to me on my TV, the screensaver, it always shows these pictures of like mountains and stuff that are like animals like this. They're just rubbing it in our faces, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what are the chances that out of the 30 pictures that they're showing me on my screensaver, fucking 15 of them are petrified titans and shit?
Yeah, it's nuts too. And then in the, like we talked about, like you brought up in the movies, what's in the movies, and Moana was, they're talking about the islands in Hawaii and, or
like in Encounters of the Third Kind or whatever with Devil's Tower.
Sure.
Devil's Tower is a big one, and the No Forest on Flat Earth.
Definitely.
I'm kind of torn between that and the ancient miner theory.
I'd love to hear more about that.
Little segue here.
Okay.
So Mudflood and ancient miner theory kind of connect. So it's hard to find pictures where people are constructing railroads. Like they're just changing out a few ties here and acting like they're building it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
So like a lot of these railroads in ancient miner theory, they were all here already. And we dug them up from out of the mud. There's pictures. Let me see if I can find some of railroads being dug up from out of the mud. I'm probably not be able to find pictures of that. It's hard to find it.
Yeah, especially because how many people are going to be posting with that assumption, right? Like, oh, they dug them up. Like, if everyone's operating under the idea that it's being made or crafted, that would be a trip, though.
Check out a railroad map of the United States. All these lines, all these little lines too, are railroads, man.
Wow.
Like, there's no way that in these times, when's this from here? 1882.
Wow.
There's no way that you're building all this railroad with horse and buggy.
Yeah.
Blasting through mountains, tunneling, bridges. There's no way that you could even mine all the iron for the rails in this time. Dude. And like, why do you even need all these railroads when, I mean, it's not really that populated, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in ancient miner theory, they're saying that these were left by the ancient miners who mined the entire earth. Like they basically built the earth for us.
Okay.
Dude, Mike Ferrari, he's saying that the earth, you couldn't even stand on the earth. You know what I mean? There was no soil, there was no trees, there was no water, and all the stuff that we have is a byproduct of them mining.
Okay.
He talks about the shape, he calls it. The shape keeps turning up everywhere, man. See if I can find it.
I think what's great too is people that can recognize these patterns and then sense something else is going on deeper.
Absolutely. Like, when you come across truth, you just like feel it inside.
Yeah, it does. And it sounds weird when you're first new to it, but stuff does resonate. It's like, you know what, like that makes more sense to me. I think I had that with dinosaurs. I was just like, they're probably complete lies. Like that actually makes way more sense that it's
absolutely. And like, even the fact that the first thing you learn about in school is like dinosaurs and the globe. They get you like on that.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you having me memorize all these dinosaurs? Like, and at first it's cool. It's really cool. But like as you get older, I'm like, that was a complete waste. Like it's such a trip. This is so cool. Like, but once you're older and can connect the dots for yourself,
It's
I think
it's great, dude. Like it opens up, because I used to be like big into science and NASA and like shit, popular science and all that shit.
sure.
And like they have us thinking that we know everything and there's nothing left to discover. There's no mystery left.
Right.
Once you start finding out this shit, it opens up a whole realm of possibilities, man. And like life isn't as boring anymore. You know what I mean? Oh shit, giant titans existed. There could have been giant trees. You know what I mean? Fucking ape miners built the earth.
Yeah, it's I love it. I love any of the alternative history. Like I love that stuff too, where it's like it almost goes full circle that it's not even alternative. It's like this is the first stuff when you were being taught as fairy tales and giants. And like our new Erasing Egos project has a lot of Lord of the Rings references too, which is, itself is riddled with, I mean, just the lore of dwarves and
the eye of Sauron.
Yeah,
the
totally.
all-seeing eye.
Totally. All through, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's just so cool. It's like, damn, like you said, or even the idea of magic, right? Magic, voodoo, curses, like, it opens
real.
up.
It's real, man. They got us thinking that shit ain't real. Like you can do little experiments on your own with like sigil magic. You can write down a phrase, say, I want to sell 10 t-shirts this week. And then you take out all the vowels and then rearrange all the letters into a symbol, charge the symbol, then burn it, and then like you'll be surprised how good that works. It's kind of like the power of intent, putting your intent out there, like The Secret. Or I don't know if you ever followed that guy Devin Maggie. He was the guy talking about blood over intent.
Yes, that's
ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Writing down on a piece of paper, I want to usher in heaven on earth, and then cut yourself a little bit, bleed on the shit.
Sure.
That's putting like your life force into it and charging it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I knew that. Yeah, I knew the name sounded familiar. Yeah, I only breezed through the blood over intent. Like we were talking about what resonates with you. It was like something. I just didn't.
Kind of dark.
Okay, I could see that, but
yeah, it kind of like drives people away. That like putting blood over shit. It's like satanic witchcraft shit.
Right. But it did have a lot of strong ties still with the North Pole. So like it made sense to me. I didn't see. I was like, I mean, I get it. There's something there.
See that guy, bro? He's total gatekeeper. He says that he's Hermes reincarnated and he built the pyramids, and he looks like this now, and he's always like wearing like robes and talking like enlightened and a soft voice. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm so woke. But he's really a gatekeeper, man. Like what really like set my spider alarms off about that guy is I don't want to like throw a shade on him. Like he has good information, but he was like putting together this expedition to the North Pole.
Sure.
Right. And he was asking for donations and shit, and that was like 4 years ago, and he hasn't went. So that kind of like sets off my alert that this dude's a shill.
Yeah,
claiming to be Jesus and all this shit. So like,
that is
woo.
Yeah, for real. It's like
dude is not fucking grounded no more. Or maybe he's just like broke through and reached a whole nother level than we're on. Like he's like for real woke and shit.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, maybe.
He's like attained Christ consciousness.
Yeah, shit. Oh, that'd be a whole nother trip I'm not ready for.
All right, so what I was talking about with the shape is, you see this here? The shape. You see how it's the inside shapes, like the empty space? This is lightning fulgurite. So like when lightning strikes sand or something like that, it goes in the ground like this and creates a fulgurite.
Okay.
So this is basically like, it even looks like a lightning bolt. See how, like it holds, like the universe is fractal, bro. Like everything has this shape. So if you go back to the old railroad map, you see these shapes.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And even like the counties of your state and shit are shaped like this, man. This shape is fucking in everything.
Oh man, see, that makes so much more sense too. I could definitely see that.
Pennsylvania, my state, I mean, like it's got these where were we? It's got this shape, you see. So in ancient miner theory, they were saying how they mined it. Let me pull up a video. Bear with me. Lightning fulgurite. Wait, lightning trapped. Here we go. So basically what happens is you can put a charge, a high voltage charge, through the earth.
Okay.
and then you release that charge and it'll create these fulgurites. So this is what the ancient miners did. They created these fulgurites. I'm talking miles. Like this is like a state.
Okay.
State, you know what I mean?
Wow. Okay.
And then all of this fulgurite here would be like precious metals, like gold. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Listings.
They have these things that are called Lichtenberg figures.
Okay.
So this is basically like a representation of what they did.
Sure.
They charge this full of high voltage.
Okay.
They put a hammer on it, tap it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So like that's how they're creating these ores and stuff. And that's how like what this guy Mike Ferrara is saying is that this in no forest and flat earth, we thought this was a tree, right?
Sure.
What he's saying is that's the inside of one of these that they like. It's like they'll blast it, right? A whole size, then they'll mine out all the ore, and then they'll blast it again in all these smaller spots.
Okay.
And then they'll blast it again and again, and they'll get down to such a small size, it'll be something like this, where they're like, man, that's not even worth mining.
Huh.
So small. Yeah, this theory is pretty crazy, man, because it takes a while to like get into the whole thing.
Yeah.
But once you do, you just see it everywhere, man.
Huh. Oh, I get it. Okay.
Like even the shape of fucking like Antarctica on the globe is the shape.
Oh, sure.
The shape of deserts. It's like they're saying that like they would mine all this shit, and then like deserts are like waste piles of sand, like byproduct.
Okay.
So they would just put it all in one spot, you know what I'm saying? And just there's a lot to it, man. I just wanted to introduce this a little bit to people so they can go look at it on their own.
Yeah. This is a really good one. I like that too. Ancient miners. Yeah, let me write
slag heaps. Like all these slag heaps are mountains and shit. Like
okay.
And the basically like the whole earth is a quarry. That's like the whole thing. The Grand Canyon, a quarry. Wonder if
I think that is way more viable, unbelievable than just being like, there was so much water and it wore away everything, and then that's why it's shaped like this. I'm like, I don't think water.
He's saying that like all rivers were created, like they're basically canals.
Okay.
To, like move resources, move water. Like they created this place for us, man. So they knew that we were gonna need water going through everywhere.
Sure. I like that. I like those comparisons. You know, a lot of really good imagery. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to this one, man.
Just like wow.
And like
very interesting.
The mining that we do today is just picking up the crumbs that the ancients left.
Ooh, that's a good way to word it.
The shape is everywhere, man.
One thing I thought of too when they were doing that with the electricity in the silicone or in the what they were tapping. Yeah, the plexiglass. Thank you. When they were doing that, it made me think of almost the human body, and the veins in it.
Yeah,
you know, like the brain of his
lungs and
it
looks just like that, or like the tree roots.
Yeah, definitely that too. It was like, okay, like as far as where we're seeing these shapes and what we're seeing this too. No passage.
He's saying that volcanoes are fake and they're really like ancient mining waste piles.
Okay.
And that they use directed energy weapons to create eruptions.
I'm hip to some of those ideas too, because I think that's one of the early ones too. When you're like, I think the Earth's fat. They're like, what about volcanoes? I'm like, I think the Earth's core. I think they're separate things. I think you can still have a layer of. Oh, wow.
People standing right next to this. How much more fake do you want it?
Yeah, they even look like figurines. Didn't even look like.
Go watch awesome. Godzilla vs. Kong, man. That shit has so much truth in it.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's like basically what he's saying is like all these mountains are hydraulic mining. Does it look exactly like hydraulic mining landscapes?
Okay.
So hydraulic mining is they take hoses and like use water pressure to wash away the rock.
Oh, huh. I haven't heard of that. Hydraulic mining.
That's what they did in the California gold rush.
Okay.
So that's how it ties into Mudflood. So they would use all this water, right? And then it would saturate the ground, and then that ground would give way.
Okay.
Let me see if I can pull up a video. I saw one the other day that was really good of a Mudflood in recent times. Type it in. Here you go.
Okay. So is this on purpose then?
No, this wasn't on purpose. This was
Uh,
August 7th, 2018 in Switzerland. There was
okay.
an anomaly of a huge amount of mud came flooding down from the mountains because of hail.
Oh.
People heard the noise 3 to 4 minutes before. This is why they were waiting, but they were not aware of the amount.
Oh, wow. Dang. Okay. Oh. Got away, Grandma. Wow.
Yeah, man. Like, it's no joke. Like, this shit does happen. Is a fact.
Yeah.
And if you put it scale it up to the
Dang.
size of the mining operations that they had going on, man.
Yeah.
That's how you wash away whole cities and shit, man.
Totally.
Bury these buildings.
Wow.
Like skyscrapers, bury them like halfway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like too, if you were aware of it, if you knew that that was something that could potentially happen, and then you were like, okay, we need to build buildings this tall because this is something that could happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's neat. Wow.
This is a laser ablation crater. This is like the lasers that they use to like remove your tattoos. That's what microscopically it'll look like.
Damn. Okay.
It's like it's basically like a directed energy weapon.
Sure.
That's how they create stuff like this.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check out more of his information. I think this is really cool. See, you know what? I like this image right here because it's something that I've always felt too was like a get out of jail free card saying the Earth's a globe before thinking the Earth is the flat plane. And they could be saying the Earth is it could be the whole thing of it, the dome, the water, the orb of it.
So the cosmic egg.
Yes. So like they're not wrong saying that, but what we're measuring, what we can measure, what we can see is the flat part, like what we see in the NASA documents and so on, right? That it's flat, non-rotating.
That's what these globe heads don't understand is they're still thinking that we think that we live in outer space.
Right. That is a huge part of it.
All their arguments are like, yeah, but in space and this and that. And I'm like, nah, dude, like you don't understand that this is a realm that we live in, and we're not floating around in outer space that's forever expanding. We're not going around the sun at 60,000 miles an hour, which is this whole solar system's going around
right
the universe and all this shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, if that's true, how come the pyramid's still aligned to Orion after 2,000? Yeah. Maybe because it hasn't been 2,000 years and they added 1,000 years of fake time.
See, I love that too. And as you say that, I could touch on so many different topics, but my friend and I, we play this game Age of Empires 2, and they have Tartars in there. And really? it's a trip. And one of the things
put a lot of truth in video games, man.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I love about it is it's all these different civilizations you can be. Like you be the Japanese and it's samurais, you can be the Celtics, the Franks. It just keeps going. There's all these different civilizations you could be from and pick from. And yeah, they had Tartars in there and Franks, Goths. It's really cool. But that was one thing I thought how we might think of it as different timelines. Like, the Egyptians were this and this, where if it's all at the same time, it was all going on at the same time.
All one culture.
Yeah.
And that's a world spanning culture. They could travel anywhere. That's why we see like in Ancient Aliens or whatever, where they're like, oh, well, how come the Mayan pyramids are aligned to Giza and so are the ones are aligned to Orion, and the Giza pyramids are aligned to Orion, but there's 3,000 miles and no communication. So why is every culture like talking about winged serpents and shit?
Right.
Like yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I think
because it was all one culture.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to word it. And I think that's where a single thread to pull on for some people is like the cradle of life, right? And all that, Africa, we all came from Africa and so on. And like, it's fine to think of it as one way, but I think it's just a way to sidestep saying that we're all one or we're all related in this one way, right? But it's like, all the continents were connected and broke apart, and that's why everyone did this. Like, I think there's a different way to explain it, especially with what you're saying too, as far as like the technology for trains and transportation in general, because like that's a big part of it. Like what you said is without communication, like they're 3,000 miles apart. And there's no communication how they do this. Like if you add there was communication, you have a new story to tell.
Absolutely, man. I think that like on the train thing, I think that a lot of these inventions were left to us and we inherited them, like the train, for instance, or like the internal combustion engine, shit like that, like all the shit that Tesla allegedly came up with.
Yeah.
See, I had a tab open for something here. Oh, the World's Fair. So like this is a smoking gun, man.
Okay.
So like they're building places like this, like the Crystal Palace, to have a World Fair at, you know what I mean, like 2 months.
Oh, sure.
And then they destroy it.
Wow.
So like the World's Fair will happen in a different city every year. You know what I mean? Here's 1893 Colombian. So like what they're saying is this was old Tartarian structures that like shit that we can't even build today. And they're saying that they put this up in like 8 months.
Wow.
Charge like a few people to come in. Like look at the sparse people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
and
then we knocked it down.
Yeah, the archways, like all that stuff involved, like
this is crazy shit that they were building, man. Like there's like the pinnacle of technology and shit.
Yeah, there's no amount of money and manpower to get stuff like that done in that time. Dude, look what it takes for them to build roads and road construction, and then they have to pull it apart, redo it.
Yeah, they can't even keep the roads from not having potholes and shit, man. Like,
and it'd be like, oh,
this shit was lit up, bro, with electricity. Yeah, I mean, probably Tesla free energy shit, and then they use it basically as a cover to knock it down. They just say, oh, let's hold a World Fair here, and then we can erase history after the fact.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah, I mean, like glorious shit that, like, I mean, you don't see this shit no more.
No.
Like the intricate little design, like it's so detailed, man. Like you're not putting that up just to knock it down.
No, that doesn't even make sense. Or like storing it, or it's not even. Yeah.
I don't know why I keep showing the same ones. A bunch of new ones here.
Sure. No, that's a trip, man. There's definitely a lot to take in for people that are willing to start digging.
I mean, we all know that history is false, dude. Like history is written by the winners of wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
They hide shit. They change shit. Just look at Tartaria, man. Like they never taught us about that in school, and it's all these old maps, but it's not on anything else. Like it's hard to find shit, which is kind of weird to me. Like these old maps, man. They could have made this all up. I mean, like CGI maps and shit.
Right.
You know, like even this, like it's an artist rendering.
Totally.
They could have planted all this shit in.
Right. I think that's something they even say too. I've seen, you've probably, where they'll be like, oh, here's Africa on a globe. Well, here's Greenland on a globe. It's like, here's how big Africa really is, as to like what they're showing us. Like it blows my mind. And I think that's like another subliminal thing, and they'll backpedal. They'll say, oh, well, it's because it wouldn't fit, or it's because of this. Like you're telling me you don't have a way to make it fit or make it proportionate to, if it's the way it is, there would be to micro scale it. People take vehicles and have like 16:1 scale vehicles with all the pieces to it. So don't tell me you couldn't make a 100:1 scale. You know what I mean? Like,
and they could send out surveyors. Like all of the world's been like surveyed by people. I was watching some the other day about like this guy who went to like South America and like mapped this one river or whatever. It was a pretty badass movie.
Okay.
But like he had to go through like 4 years just to like map like 60 miles of an Amazonian fucking river, and he's got to lug around his survey equipment, with someone to like line up all the shit just to build maps, dude. And like they're getting like attacked by like native people and shit. It's British people coming in, British Empire, we gotta own the whole fucking world.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Oh man,
like they've surveyed all this shit 10 times over, man. There's definitely hidden land.
Absolutely.
There's definitely hidden resources.
For sure.
Like what's going on in Antarctica, bro?
And that's another thing too that kind of just is like gets swept away, or like that was a big thing when like John Kerry was going to Antarctica, the Pope was going, like all these people, because it was like, was it like Trump won And then these people were going to Antarctica, or was it before that? Was it? But it was like there was a time where like all these people were going and it fit. Was it like 2012?
Yeah,
Was
there
it
was
like
that guy who like supposedly like tried walking across it and he fucking died.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always some kind of like I don't know, going to visit
Because
it
no
and going
one's
to
ever
this,
like
like
walked across. They've always gone to like
yeah,
South Pole and then turned back around and came back the way they came.
right.
This guy
Like that,
tried walking like all the way across and died.
yeah.
And it was like some like British royalty, like billionaire guy.
Damn,
That's the
okay.
only people they're gonna let in there to like try that shit. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Of course he died and didn't make it. You know what I mean? Because it just
Yeah,
probably goes on for too long.
right.
The flat Earth model.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you'd be screwed. And like they'll say it's temperature, there's always a reason why, and it's believable. So people then you just stop asking questions. But it's like, I don't know, there has to be a way. It's just making it. No,
Excuse me while I cough.
it's all good. This was a really good episode idea, man. This
Yeah,
is
man,
great.
this was pretty cool, man. Just to go through a little bit of that shit. What do you think
Yeah.
the next topic should be?
Oof. That's a good one. I mean, we could probably even do one just straight up on like Titans if we want to kind of connect.
Do you watch
Titan.
Jay Dreamers?
I do. I haven't lately, but he was one of the first ones I went to with all
He
that.
like fell off for a while, but I seen him
Okay.
lately. He just posted something earlier.
Okay.
Got a notification.
Let me write that down and I'll start going through his stuff.
He's a little like too much into like we're flat earthers, man. We need proof. We need to be able to prove shit. And he's talking about like all this fairies and like all this like shit that's like metaphysical, you know what I mean, that can't ever be proven. And I kind of just gotta take a step back every once in a while. Like my flat earth mind kicks in, like, yo, this is all pseudoscience, like this is all can't be proven. Like, yeah, there's like folk tales about it and shit like that, but there's no like physical evidence, and I need that, bro.
Yeah,
totally. I don't get
totally.
people that are flat earthers like believe in like crater Earth and like all this shit, all this like shit that can never be proven, man, or like ghosts and like shit like that. I'm like, yeah, they could exist, but I need the proof. I need to experience firsthand.
My take on ghosts, my hot take is just if we're talking about an electric universe, and if that's the imprint you leave, and that's why a lot of the stuff is repetitive, or it's like, oh, it's always walking down the hallway, and that's what I noticed too. I watched like Paranormal State.
It's like on a loop.
Yes, like that's the imprint it had on whether it was this traumatic of an event or that was their life, you know what I mean? But it's like sometimes it's only scary because you don't know what it is. They aren't trying to scare you. It's like if I'm gaming and I hear a creak in the hallway, it's only scary if I go like, oh, like what was that or what's this? But if it's like I'm busy, man, I can't investigate.
And it's always like they're like it's always in the same spot too. Like a ghost isn't gonna follow you somewhere else. So like it kind of makes me think that maybe it's like trans-dimensional.
Yes.
Like maybe in this certain place there might be a little like interference going on where some lead into each other, or like parallel universe. That's how I kind of look at it.
I like that, and that's a good explanation for it, for like almost conflicting dimension like that.
That's what I'm on with like aliens too. Like aliens don't come from outer space, they're interdimensional.
That helped me. I was like, you know what, like I can do with that, like like it's just, you know what, that makes more sense than like light years and millions and billions of, and like, you know what, if they're there, you can't see it. It's like, once it's a trip, it's hard to grasp. I feel like if you've never gotten high enough, it wouldn't make sense. If that in the nicest way possible. I think that was I had an experience that opened my mind that way, where I was like, you know what, there's more. Whether it's
just remove a few of those filters and let you see reality.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, okay, I get it.
I feel like that's like the state that we'd all be in if we weren't pounded over and over again with all this conditioning growing up.
Oh, totally. Like if there was no risk to it, like, I got a housewife and kids, so it's like I really can't experiment that much with drugs or whatever my workplace doesn't allow, honestly. So it's like, it's really tough, but it's like, yeah, if every day you could just, a little here, there, or that was your, instead of
every day you do when you dream.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I have a lot of dreams and I love talking about them. And I'll tell my wife just, things so I can remember them or keep them fresh in my mind. But like, I've always felt like there's something there, whether it's just more than a release, whether it's like tapping into a parallel universe, where you're tapping into this lifeline.
Like the afterlife is like the cosmic field of consciousness.
Totally.
I mean, like if we could tap into that, like the Akashic record, because that's what I think a lot of this stuff is. Like Tesla, that's Akashic record. He's probably tapping in, him and like the other 50 dudes that are under and ascribed to him. They're probably all tapping into that, or like reverse engineering old world technology.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's another thing, like with that verse where I was talking about Mudflood, and like I was saying that why is the church always built around the organ? I mean, the organ is a device, man. It's like a free energy device. I don't think we know all this going on with the organ, man, because they got these huge ass ones, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's the whole church is built around the organ. You know what I mean? That's the centerpiece.
Words have meanings too, right? As we learn, it's like, why would you call it that?
Sound frequencies and stuff too, the way they build it, so it like amplifies the sound.
Totally, the vibration,
like healing frequencies, or like to like open your mind to kind of like how drugs do, to like be able to have like a shamanic experience.
Yeah, that's a good way to.
There's tons of things that it could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta start asking these questions.
No, I think it's great. It's a great way to put it. And I think that's how you get people, because I think there can be a big charge of energy of people, like you're all like in, whether it's singing
like in
the same
stadiums
song,
at football games.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
They're harvesting this energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, there's definitely something to that.
The millions of people that are watching the halftime show, they're definitely that kind of energy, man.
Absolutely.
Like, even like performing a show, like rapping, you're harvesting the energy from the crowd. And like if they're giving you a lot of energy, you're giving more back. And
totally.
It's like a cycle.
Totally. My mood, I mean, this is just day to day, is it can kind of feed off other people. So I can be really down and in on myself. But if someone comes in and they're open and they're joking, like I can play back. I can joke too. And like, there's a lot to be said about that energy, or like we've talked about, like, even with the 6 feet, right? Like staying away from each other, where it's like you're close enough to each other. You're in those, like those fields, a hug or like a bro hug, or all this stuff. If you had that moment in someone's, energy or their aura, whatever that may be, like, there's definitely something to it. That's just not a coincidence.
You just reminded me of something I got to show the people. Let me see if I can find it.
Should this be our last thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me know if you can hear this. I don't know if the audio comes through.
No need to question authority.
I can hear it.
Everything on the TV is always true. The government would never lie or manipulate you for any reason. Just trust the TV. Keep wearing those masks. Just 14 more years to flatten the curve, everybody. We'll be back to normal. You're all doing a great job. Thank you for your service. We love you.
Oh, my God.
No need to question anything, sir. The government loves you. They're never going to lie to you about anything. Just keep wearing those masks, and everything will be great. You're all doing a great job.
You're all doing a great job.
No need to question the narrative. Just trust your government. Trust the media. Do what you're told. There's no need to be told. And P.S. Vaccines are extremely good for your health. There's no need to question that. No need to worry why the government wants to inject you with.
See, this is how you beat censorship, by using sarcasm.
Yes, for sure.
Hold on, it gets better.
Heavy metals. No need to concern yourselves with anything. The government absolutely 100% loves you and wants you to be healthy and happy. So there's no need to think for yourselves. Just do what you're told, everybody. Do what you're told. Do what the media tells you. Believe what the media tells you. Believe what the government tells you. The government is your friend. Trust the government. Trust mainstream media. They 100% love you. Vaccines are good for your health. Social distancing is good for your health. Don't hug anyone. Don't love anyone. Just stay away from strangers. Be afraid of other people.
Be afraid.
Just isolate yourself. Don't get any sunshine. Just lock yourself in your basement.
I'm going to skip ahead.
It's like woke Tom Green.
Congratulations. congratulations for following the narrative and trusting the news and not questioning anything. You're all doing a great job complying with the narrative.
This guy's filming him. He's like, oh my God, look at this freak.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
There's definitely not a psychological operation happening when you're convinced of a reality that's based on fear that has nothing to do with what's actually happening. Fuck you! You shut the fuck up!
He throw his bike in there.
Fucking insane, bro. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You're insane, bro.
You're insane.
Get the fuck away from this guy, kid.
Yeah, for real. Like, what? Like, who's driving? Why would you slow down for that? I mean, I guess that's a clip.
He's
but,
probably
oh
in
gosh.
traffic. Like all I hear is like,
oh, good point. That's a good point.
And
He
he's
didn't
like,
have a choice. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That guy's pissed. He's pissed because he was probably one of those people that didn't see any of his family for like a year.
He's triggered, bro.
Hey, fuck you, man. Like,
He's not even wearing a mask. That's the best part.
Yeah, that's what cracks me up. Like, oh man, the way people react to this stuff. Oh, that's so funny.
Are you happy now? Are you happy now? You fucking asshole. We're trying to wake you people up over here. Brother, you've been psyoped. That's what a psychological operation is.
You know, I mean, the guy handles it really well. He's like, we love you. We're just trying to help you. I mean, that's assault right there, man. He could have got glass in the eyes and shit.
Yeah, like, it's so funny because it's like, who's overreacting, right? Like, if you feel like you're doing the right thing, like you wouldn't react like that. You're just like, oh, whatever.
That dude is triggered. That's how you know that guy, all he does is watch the news all day.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't think for himself.
No, he doesn't think for himself. Absolutely. He's letting his emotions basically be dictated by other people. Just told to be afraid, told to be mad, told to be.
He's just a tool for the elite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the Agent Smith effect.
Absolutely. And that's so funny. Yeah, it's 10 times it doesn't have a mask on and he's freaking out that the guy is telling him like, y'all been tricked. You've all been duped, and the guy is like,
it's Stockholm
proving his point.
syndrome, bro. These people love to be slaves.
Yeah,
they love to be told what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so easy. It's so easy, and easy is,
it's like virtue signaling too. He's like, oh, I gotta put this guy in his place because he's not following the rules.
Right. Totally.
Whatever.
Totally.
But let's wrap it up, dude.
I
guess check out the new music, Human.
Yeah, Human is good.
Videos out there. Add the TikToks, all that shit, Instagrams.
Absolutely.
May 1st, Black Pilled, the new project, Erasing Egos.
Well, I'm excited.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that'll be really good. Yeah, I'll hit you up on that, but I think we're in a really good spot. I've
like pretty much done everything. Yeah,
I think we're good. All right, good stuff, Brain.
Peace, everybody.
Peace.